Rivers in movies tell many stories. The river in Apocalypse Now, where Martin Sheen and the captain and chef and Lance the surfer were going upstream into Cambodia, where we were not supposed to be during the Vietnam War, to deliver the final justice to Colonel Kurtz, as played by Marlon Brando. In this 1976 movie, Laure, which was written by the real-life Emmanuel Arson, they were going upriver to find the Mera, a tribe that did this celebration annually where everybody lost their memory, and then when they woke up, they were a new person who could begin life anew. And in Apocalypse Pooh, well, who the hell knows where the river runs there, except they're on a mission to presumably cheer up Captain Euro-erotic Kurtz.
Would you play that tape with the captain, please?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
Listen to this carefully, Captain.
Jack over 90430 hours, Sector Peter Victor King.
These are monitored out of Cambodia.
If you ask me, when a house looks like that, it's time to find another one. W-O-L. That spells owl.
Hi everybody, my name is Dwayne Walker and welcome to Psycho Cinema Therapy Theater, where there are no bad movies and we are going to look at those movies and mine them for all the meaning we can read into them. But before we begin our journey upriver, at least cinematically, be sure to like and subscribe to this channel. That way whenever you have a new video that comes along, something you may be interested in, you will be alerted to it. So please like and subscribe. And now let's begin our river journey. But ever since the days of Huckleberry Finn, the river has had a superiority over the road. A lot of people talk about hitting the road like the road is a type of freedom. But when you think about it, there's really nothing free about being on the road. The road is created by men. It's created by humans. And they have specific routes that they're going to go to and go from. So there's really nothing wild about a road. A river, on the other hand, is carved by nature, whether you're accidental or whether you want to say that it's on purpose by some blend of cosmic design. But the point is, the river goes where the river flows when we don't know where the river goes. And in these three movies that I mentioned, we've got people going down the river, taking very similar journeys, one of them leading to life and a new life, and another one leading to death and destruction. Now, let's start out with Apocalypse Now. On this movie, we start out with Martin Sheen as Willard, kind of getting drunk, waiting for a mission, and just getting weaker and weaker by the day. The movie's supposed to be a commentary on the Vietnam War, but the more you look at Francis Coppola's movie, the more you realize it's not so much a commentary about the Vietnam War, but about human nature. Is there something about us that just leads us to self-destruction? Almost like his most recent movie, Megapolis, where you would think that it would be in our best interest to look for a utopian society where everybody could be happy, fulfill their top potential, but for some reason there's something within us that just cheerleads for our own destruction. And we keep making the same mistakes over and over again in a cyclical manner. Are they mistakes, or is it just a part of our suicidal nature? And Apocalypse Now, like Megapolis, kind of delves into these issues. Anyway, he's drunk before he's called by the military to go on a mission, and the mission is one of death. He has to go visit Colonel Kurtz, who has pretty much built up his own private kingdom and has killed people and has kind of set himself up as some kind of a ruler over this little colony of Vietnamese and Cambodians that he's lording over. And of course, there's no doubt about it, even though he is told that he has to eliminate with extreme prejudice, he knows what he has to do. He has to kill Colonel Kurtz. Now, let's contrast this with the beginning of the movie Laure, which was written by Emmanuel Arson. Now, I say written by because her husband may have actually written the book. And what's really interesting about this is he was a United Nations ambassador. And the reason I mention that is if you read the Emmanuel books, they're definitely big on the icky front, no matter how you chase it. And I don't even like to use the word icky, to tell you the truth. I think we're becoming way too puritanical these days. But he actually starts writing about children, and I'm surprised this book got published, to be quite honest. And you can still find it out there in bookstores and the library and all that. And when he started when he started getting involved in some of the Emmanuel movies that were made based on the book, he felt like he was being shortchanged because the producers and directors knew that you couldn't put some aspects of his philosophy, and I use that loosely, into the movies without risking it being shut down. And as far as I'm concerned, the more liberties that the filmmakers took with his book and steered it away from where the author intended, the better it was for the Emmanuel movies. This should be just a movie for adults, but he's basically trying to repurpose the world. And you might remember many years later, there was a scandal of United Nations workers who were exposed for child abuse and all that. And the fact that the ghostwriter of the Emmanuel series was the United Nations ambassador makes me wonder if that might have been a good piece of evidence to enter in court when that happened. Now, I'm totally in favor of the United Nations, by the way, but, that's like a test. When corruption hits us, we need to hit back at corruption no matter where it falls, even if it isn't an organization that we endorse. But I digress. This movie opens up in Manila. And if you read the book, it actually starts out at a place called Pinoy Village, which started out in Manila, then later was in Angeles City, and it was like a colonial Williamsburg that showed the various stages how people lived in the Philippines. You had huts that showed how they lived back during the primitive times. And then as the Spanish came in, you had the houses that they lived in. And then as it got into the late 1800s, the 19th century, you had the houses that were reflected of the 19th century. And I went there, and unfortunately it's closed down now, but it's amazing. It was an amazing spot. That's where the book actually begins. And Nick, who's a filmmaker, is following this girl named Laure, and she's going to a lecture by a person named Gunnar, who's talking about the lost tribe of the Mara. And they get together, they have this ritual where everybody pretty much parties down and loses it, and then when they wake up, they have no memory at all. And they pair up with different people. They don't know who they're with. Maybe they got a new husband, a new wife, a new life, and this keeps them going for about a year. And so the Mara keep retreating, though. They don't want to be a part of the world or open society. And it's like, as far as they're concerned, this is like really a pure people, and they want to find these people. And there's this fellow in the movie who has taken these pictures of the Mara, and so they're going to look for this tribe. As they talk about how great it would be to go on a journey to find the Mara, they just don't have the money to do it. But then this rich guy at a 70s era swinging party decides he's going to put up the money so they can go on this trip to document the Mara. So the next day they get out and away they go. And of course, just like in Apocalypse Now, they keep running into these subplots that involve death and destruction. And Laura, they keep running into these subplots that involve sex and enjoyment and different types of sex. And so they're going on this journey. That first they're in a house that's being moved down on a river, and she's having sex in there, and he's out there documenting everything. And then they meet this transsexual named Dolly, who served with the Filipino guy that's their guide in the military. And they get in a helicopter, and Dolly's having an affair with a woman whose husband is very jealous, which prompts Nick, the sexually not puritanical in the anti-sexual sense, but he definitely has his ideals. He's saying things, well, how can you be friends with someone who's so jealous? But, life isn't always cut and dry with easy answers. And so they go up in the helicopter and basically have an orgy in the helicopter while Nick documents it on his camera. And then finally they're almost at the point where they're about to board the boat and go on their journey to the Maras. And that's where Laura starts really acting like a jerk. She starts talking, really crap to Aurora, who was, again, the Filipino person who's guiding them. and who took the pictures that brought them on the journey in the first place. And they get on this boat, and away they go, and they see the tribe, supposedly Maoris, coming up, greeting them with torches. And that's an amazing scene. The music is amazing. This is standalone music.
Arawa, are these your people?
I've never seen any Mara like that.
Then they are dead, Mara. Because they all look alike.
How do you know?
Because to be alive is to be different. Such a beautiful spectacle. And yet it's strange. I feel a sense of, I don't know, some indefinable menace. A vague sense of fear, like a fear of death. A contraction deep inside my soul that makes me shiver.
It's the night air that makes you shiver.
It's not the night air. I too feel what Miet feels. No, it's not the night air.
But then as they go further into the forest and further into the river, they realize that Arawa's pictures may not have been on the level, that he may have faked them. Maybe the Mara exists, maybe they don't exist, but they're still going to keep looking for them. And then they meet a young child along the way who's going to guide them to where the Mara is. Then just when they're about to go to see the Mara and their rituals, what happens? They think about the consequences of their actions. First of all, the next day, they're not going to know who they are. Maybe they'll have the movies if they know how to operate the camera afterwards.
Imagine us tomorrow morning. We won't remember what we came here for. We won't know what we're supposed to report on.
Report to whom? To civilization?
Well, just to human knowledge. To mankind. No more memory means no more language, no more culture, no more science. A return to a primordial way of life.
Poor old Gualtier. What would be left of you?
Even if the mind of a Mara dies for only 1 minute before the new sun revives it, that 1 minute is too many.
So partly out of humanitarian reasons, they decide we're going to call our journey off and we're not going to go document the Mara, except for Laure. And to tell you the truth, she's the only one out of this movie who really needs to go through this ritual of becoming a new person, because she's acting like a class A bitch through this whole movie, just insulting everyone and just... You watch it yourself and see if you don't agree with me. She's the only one. She needs an attitude adjustment, and so she probably knows this unconsciously anyway. And so she goes off with the child, and then of course she has that ritual at the end of the movie, and presumably becomes a new person who forgets who she is. And she actually shows up in a few more Emmanuel movies playing a totally different innocent person. So I would kind of like to think that some of the Emmanuel movies that also feature Annabelle came after this movie, Laure, and what we're looking at is Laure after she's been brainwashed by the Mara. So now in Apocalypse Now, of course, they have adventure after adventure that usually involves killing someone. You know, in Laure, they involve activities which potentially can create a life, or give life meaning, or make life more enjoyable. In Apocalypse Now, all their adventures are running into a situation where life is being destroyed. And the river is being destroyed, by the way. It's being polluted by dead bodies and military apparatus and pollution and all that, and napalm bombs. And of course, in Laure, they're very considerate about nature and very respectful about the ways of nature. And when they reach their targeted goal, of course, Martin Sheen, as you know, and don't freak out about spoiler alerts. The movie's quite a few decades old now, so you probably should have already seen it. But even after he kills Kurtz, he comes out, and for a brief moment you think he's going to become Kurtz. He's going to become the enemy. Thankfully he doesn't, but he walks away very, very disturbed. Very disturbed. If he had an awakening, it's a dark awakening. Unlike Laure, where when she has an awakening, hopefully it's as a brand new person. Now, we go to another movie that just kind of lampoons both these kind of movies. And of course that's Apocalypse Pooh, which was put together by Todd Graham, where he took images from Winnie the Pooh, images from Apocalypse Now, and very expertly put the soundtrack at just the right moments where it looks like Winnie the Pooh is mimicking Martin Sheen's breakdown in front of the mirror, but instead of nearly tearing an artery from his wrist, or a major vein in his wrist, he winds up just making a little hole in his backside that he can easily sew up. And we've got Piglet as the Dennis Hopper character.
Well, you say hello to him, right? And he'll just walk right by you, and he won't even notice you. And then suddenly he'll grab you, and he'll throw you in a corner, and he'll say, "Do you know that if is the middle word in life? If you can keep your head when all about your losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you." I mean, I can't. I'm a little man. I'm a little man. He's a great man. What are they going to say about him? What are they going to say? He was a kind man. He was a wise man. He had plans. He had wisdom. Bullshit, man. Am I going to be the one that's going to set them straight? Look at me, wrong.
And of course, with Kurtz, you basically have Eeyore feeling very morose.
Thanks for noticing me.
Oh, bother. Oh, bother.
But you think about the river in general, like going back to Huckleberry Finn. And Huckleberry Finn, you have Jim, the runaway slave, Huckleberry Finn, who's trying to leave his abusive father, and to them the Mississippi River represents freedom. In Apocalypse Now, the river just represented turmoil after turmoil until ultimately you come to the grand crescendo, which is death. For Laure, the rivers brought you from adventure to certain life-affirming encounters with various people and places, and of course with Apocalypse Pooh, it just brought you face to face with a donkey colonel who just needed a little appreciation. So thanks for watching, and by the way, if you enjoyed this program and want to see more, or if there are certain subjects you want to see me tackle, then please put them in the comments. Like this video, subscribe so you'll be kept up to date with whenever new content arrives, and thank you for watching.